All right, so these are notes for section 2.1, so we're finally in chapter 2. So we're going to start with graphing and writing inequalities. So when we are graphing an inequality, we always want to use an open circle. Oops, zoomed in a little bit there. An open circle for less than or greater than signs. So hopefully you've seen inequality symbols before. It should be a review for most of you, but we're just going to write and graph these. So then we want to use a closed circle for any time we are going to have less than or equal to or greater than or equal to signs. So then on this one, on our very first example here, we have x is less than 3. So hopefully you're thinking to yourself, am I going to need an open circle or a closed circle for this? And the answer is an open circle. So we're going to go to 3. So since x is less than 3, we're going to go to 3. And we're going to draw an open circle above the 3. And then x can be any value less than 3. So in the left direction on our number line, we're going more negative, so we're going lower than 3. And then to the right of our 3 here, our circle, we're increasing, so we're going more positive or greater than 3. So we want x is less than 3, so we want all of these values here. So a possible value for x, we could have x is equal to -4, we could have x is equal to 0, x is equal to -8, -7, anything that is less than 3. We can't have x is equal to 3 as a possible value because if we have something less than 3, we don't want 3, we want everything around 3 but less than. We don't actually want that value. So then on number 2, we want to go again to where our -1 is on the number line. So -1 is right here. And do we want an open circle or a closed circle? So hopefully you're thinking to yourself, open circle, and we're going to draw just an open circle above right here just so that you can see it pretty clearly. And now we want x is greater than that. So we want all the values that x can be greater than -1. So if we go to the right, that's going to be all the values that are greater than -1. And again, a possible value for x here could be 4, 5, 6, it could be 4.2, it could be 2.5, any number that is going to be greater then -1 would be a possible value for x there. Okay, so then on number 3, if we have x is greater than or equal to 7, we're going to go to 7, and hopefully you're thinking, okay, this is greater than or equal to, so we do want to include 7 as a possible value. We want 7 as a possible value, and we want everything greater. Okay, so now go ahead and pause the video and try number 4 on your own. All right, so hopefully you paused the video and you found that since x is less than or equal to -5, we're going to go to -5 and have a closed circle, and since it's less than, we want every value less than. So always when you do this, think about possible values that x could be. Like, could x be 2 here? Is 2 less than or equal to -5? And hopefully you're thinking, no, it's not. It's definitely not. And so that can give us like a check on whether or not we graphed our line correctly. So a number that is covered by our line going in the left direction is -8. And is -8 less than or equal to -5? And yeah, -8 is less than. So we know we graphed it correctly. if we were to have graphed it the other way, then we could pick out possible values and be like, no, 2 is not less than or equal to -5. So we would have been able to switch our graph. Okay, so then now for number 5 through 8, I'm going to do the first one for you. But what I want you to do is write an inequality given your graph here. So x is going to be our variable. We're going to have either a closed circle or an open circle, and that's going to tell us whether or not it's less than or greater than, or if we have less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. So we're always going to start with x. So on 5, we're going to start with x on the left-hand side. And we have an open circle here, so we want either less than or greater than. And since we're going in the left direction, so x can be anything less than -2, we're going to have x is less than -2. And then we always just want to think about possible solutions here as well. Like the line is covering -4, for example. So is -4 less than -2? And yeah, the answer is yes. So we know we graphed it, or we wrote the inequality given the graph correctly. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and see if you can fill out 6, 7, and 8. All right, so hopefully you pause the video. And on number 6, we know we need a closed circle. So this would be less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, because we're including that value 4. So we always want to start with our x on the left-hand side. And actually, we're just going to write an x on all of these. And so 4 is going to be on the other side. And then since we have a closed circle, we want to think about, is x any value greater than or equal to 4, or is it less than or equal to 4? And hopefully you're thinking to yourself, well, it's going in the right direction. So x can be any value that is greater than or equal to 4. Okay, for number 7, you should have x is less than or equal to, because it's a closed circle and it's going in the left direction, it's less than or equal to 0. Last one, we know we need an open circle, and we are starting at -3, and x can be anything that's greater than -3, so we will have the greater than symbol there. All right, so then now we want to write inequalities. Whenever we have a less than, this is less than or equal to is less than or equal to. It's kind of like a little half equal sign, half less than, right? And then greater than would be just flipping it the opposite way, greater than or equal to, just like that. All right, so for 17, I know the numbering is off on these, but I just kind of pick and chose like which problems I wanted to give you, so that's why the numbering is off. So if we were to translate a number is less than -10, we're going to start with x as our variable. So a number, aka x, is less than, and less than we know is going this way. And then -10 we can just write down just like that. Okay, so that's how we would want to write them. And then 18, a number, aka x, is less than or equal to, so less than or equal to, just like this, equal to 8. All right. So the first two seem kind of easy, but I want you to take a peek through the rest of these and just see kind of what you think, because on some of these it's going to say like at least, or at most, or no more, or no less. So kind of think about what sign we need when we run into that wording. All right, hopefully for 19 you've already gotten then this one. So a number x, oops. So x is greater than or equal to -4. So you should have x is greater than or equal to -4. So then on 20, if we have a number that is at most 45, that means that we can't have any value for that number greater than 45. So it would have to be less than 45. So if 45 is the highest it could be, what sign would we need here? What possible values could we be here? We could be like 30, 41, 7, anything like that, which those numbers are less than. And then we also want to think about, like, can the value be 45? Like, can it be equal to 45? And the answer here is yes. So if we have a number that is at most 45, the largest it could be is 45, but it could be 45. So we would want any number less than or equal to 45. Okay, so then same thing with 21. It's kind of the same concept here. So a speed limit of 55 miles per hour. That means that we can have any speed less than or equal to 55, but we can't exceed 55. Okay, and then 22, a number is at least 16. So the lowest this can be is 16. So, but it could be 16, right? So we could have x and then 16, and then our sign here, we'd want 16 to be the lowest. So the lowest number that it could be is 16, but it also could be 16. So we would have x is greater than or equal to 16. Okay, so then 23, a number is no less than 10. So AKA it's not less than 10. So it would have to be x is greater than or equal to 10, because it doesn't say it can't be 10. It just says it can't be less than 10. Okay, 24, 25, and 26. Go ahead and see if you can try those on your own. And I will put the answers up here just so that you can double check. All right, so the rest of these 24, 25, and 26, for 24, hopefully you have n is less than or equal to 26. 25, hopefully you have n is less than or equal to 25. 26, n is greater than or equal to 5. And then just as a heads up, I know I have n's here, and I just wanted to point out that whenever we're talking about a number and we don't specify the variable being used, we could absolutely have n's here. We could have x's, we could have y's, any variable that you want to use, you can use here. So that's kind of why I wanted to show you just the end 3 with an n, because it really doesn't matter which variable we're using. Unless we specify, it doesn't matter. Okay, so your homework for tonight and for the rest of this week is on big ideas. So it's just, I think, 17 problems on there. So please finish your notes. Have these in your notes. You do not need to turn these in on Google Classroom, but your homework for the week is on big ideas. It's just the 17 problems, and it is due at the end of the week at 11:59 p.m.